Morning, and welcome to Unity of Kent Sunday service for July 2nd, 2023. My name is Reverend Patty Becker, and I welcome you warmly and wholeheartedly for our beginning of the month Silent Unity prayer service. So I hope this will be meaningful for everyone. Our worship assistant this morning is Linnell Mooney, and we have a brand new musician who's making his debut, so I would like to welcome Christopher Sullivan. And Chris will now open our service with our opening song.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is a song that I wrote. I didn't write all that stuff, but I wrote all the lyrics. Sometimes I may feel a bit disconnected from the Lord on high. I feel unsure, I feel so insecure that sometimes I just want to cry. But where I've been, what I've done, what I've seen, and the battles I've won have made me who I am today. But no matter what I've seen or where I've been or what I've done, I'm still connected to God. Connected before birth, I wasn't even a gleam in father's eye. Not even a beat in my mother's heart. Before I was even a sign, I was connected to God above, connected to undying love, connected to the light inside. But where I've been, what I've done, what I've seen, and the battles I've won have made me who I am today. But no matter what I've seen or where I've been or what I've done, I'm still connected. And no matter what I do or what I say or even when I pray, always be connected. God loves me true and He loves you too, and that's the way it always will be. 'Cause where we've been, what we've done, what we've seen, and the battles we've won made us who we are today. But no matter what we've seen or where we've been or what we've done, we're still connected. Always and forever. Always and forever. Never separated from the Lord our Creator. Still connected to God.
Oh, thank you, Chris. That's great. I've never heard that song before. I like it, love it. Great. Well, good morning, everyone. This is 4th of July weekend. A lot of people are out of town or in the woods or at family gatherings or picnics or parks and all kinds of things. And it's a beautiful, beautiful weather. And there's a hope with that. It will continue to be, nobody's hurt, we're all okay. It's just a chair. And no one was in the chair, right? I don't know if you on Zoom could hear that big crash, but nevertheless, I'll let you know that we had a big crash. And it wasn't the sound system. So where was I? Having a good day, yes. Having a good day. Well, my name is Reverend Patty Becker, and it's my privilege to be the spiritual leader of this community. And I'm very proud to nurture and to be nurtured by a community that is open and accepting and welcoming to people of all cultures, of all creeds, belief systems, of all economic status, of all people who are serious about spiritual development and wanting to be in a community that supports their spiritual unfolding. That is us, and it is a wonderful gift, has been for me ever since I joined Unity, to have such a welcoming place in which to be myself and in which to evolve in my spiritual thinking and spiritual experience, and have it not be weird or have it not be outside of dogma, but to have it be a genuine nurturing experience of like-minded people raising questions about their own beliefs and being encouraged to find their own answers and to be responsible and responsive to their own spiritual authority. I find that very refreshing and very much to be proud of as part of this community. So thank you for what you bring to all of us together. I welcome you on Zoom too this morning. I was not here last weekend. I watched the service on Zoom, and Kurt did a wonderful job, I thought, delivering the message. And I had an opportunity, probably my first opportunity, to see the service on Zoom. And we've been on Zoom, doing Zoom since 2020, I think, or 2019. And I have to say that my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to Eric Jacobs, to Connie Stolp, to Kurt Lehman, for all of those who have contributed to the program and the presentation that we have on Zoom at this time. And I found myself being very satisfied and proud of that, and proud of all of the creativity, the tenacity, and the willingness to push beyond what is known and learn what could be. I find that really wonderful. So thank you guys up there in Techno Land. Okay. Well, Chris wonderfully opened the service with music, and I would like to do that right now with prayer. So if you just take a breath and bring your attention to this moment, this present moment. Sometimes that's harder than we think. I know I have a busy mind, and I can't imagine that I'm the only one. So I invite us together to focus our thoughts, to hone our attention to this moment and to this experience that we are having together in this Sunday service. There's one presence and one power active in the universe. This presence and power is omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent. This presence and power we know to be absolute good. We also are emanations. We are offspring. We are created. We are imbued with the same nature as that of God. That we have that spark of divinity, that base of spirituality that is absolute good ourselves. And we seek to know this goodness in ourselves more and more each day through positive living and spiritual practice. And so we come together this morning from many different backgrounds and many different experiences to be in our oneness as a community, seeking the fullest expression of ourselves that we can be. And I am so grateful today to be supported in this lofty mission by inspiring music, through prayer, by fellowship, in meditation, in inspiring words, and in the heartfelt attention that everyone here gives to one another. And so my gratitude builds up and spills over for this opportunity and this mode of expression. So may we all open our hearts, minds, and souls to the fullest experience that we can have together today. And so it is. Amen.
All right, well, please stand if you are able, and we're going to do a sing-along. This is Loving Kindness. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but it's going to start with me, and then you'll repeat. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease, and may I be happy. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease, and may you be happy. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. And may we be happy. May all be filled with loving kindness. May all be well. May all be peaceful and at ease. And may all be happy.
That's what happens when you get too peaceful. You forget what you're supposed to be doing. Okay. Welcome, everybody. My name's Linnell Mooney. I'm your worship assistant today, and I want to especially welcome those on Facebook and Zoom today. Those of you in the sanctuary, we are still living without a projector, so the words will not be displayed behind me. You'll need to check your bulletin for the words that we'll be saying together today. All right. Let's go ahead and affirm our statement of faith. There is one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good omnipotence. I trust and align with that power of goodness now. In your bulletins, you will find a prayer slip. Barbara will so graciously collect these in just a moment. Oh, yes, if you, okay. Okay. So if you want to take time to go ahead and write down who you want on that prayer slip, and we'll collect them shortly. Okay. We have some announcements today. I want to again welcome Chris Sullivan. Thank you for being here. Spirit Talk is still taking place on Wednesday mornings on Zoom at 10 a.m. It's a lively and fun discussion. Just go to the events page on our Unity of Kent website and you will find the link to the Zoom at 10 o'clock on Wednesday mornings. Also, next Sunday will be Potluck Sunday for hospitality. We are starting this for the second Sunday of the month. So bring something to share next Sunday on the 9th. Following that Sunday, church picnic at Connie's house on July 16th, immediately after service. Bring your favorite picnic dish to share. chicken will be provided. Oh, I went out of order, didn't I? Okay, let's go ahead and pull those prayer slips out, and we'll go ahead and collect them at this time. Well, I'm confused. I've got prayer slips, then announcements. Doesn't matter. Really? That's what I thought too. Okay. Okay, so it was my memory was correct, but the list wasn't correct. Okay. All right, just a moment, Bara. We'll hang on. Okay, so the virtue today is hopeful. To be hopeful is to expect the best. One who is hopeful aspires to success and anticipates the fulfillment of his or her desires. A hopeful attitude is positive and full of promise. Hopefulness lifts the spirit in every way. Let us affirm today with hopeful. I am hopeful. I believe in my success over adversity. I expect the best in my life. I anticipate good. And for today's daily word for July 2nd is guidance. I seek, trust, and follow my guidance. Seeking divine guidance means tuning out information and opinions and turning inward. Then, with an open heart and quiet mind, I can better feel the nudge of my intuition, my inner voice. I receive divine guidance much in the way flowers in a field soak up sunshine. Just as following the sun is innate for them, I have the instinct to trust my inner knowing. Even if my guidance surprises me, I trust it to lead me on the path to my highest good. I follow where I feel I'm called to go. I heed the still, small voice within and pay particularly attention to the serendipitous circumstances I find along the way. I seek, trust, and follow my guidance. As I do, I deepen my relationship with God, knowing wherever I go, I do not travel alone. From Isaiah chapter 58, verse 11, the Lord will guide you continually. Okay. Now you can bring those prayer slips out, and Barbara will collect them for our box, and we'll bless our prayers in our box. For those on Zoom, if you'd like to unmute at this time and say your prayers out loud, we will bless those also.
Hi, this is Pam. I'm on Zoom, and please pray, help me navigate a bully at work who's causing dissension amongst all of our teammates and making it a disruptive and just slanderous place. And let me know the truth of what is said and what is a snare. And let me represent our Creator through this process.
Thank you, Pam.
All right, so we have our prayer slips and our prayer requests. And we are here to support each other. We rub our hands together and direct our own energy towards our prayer requests, knowing that each one is made manifest in its perfect time and perfect place. There's one presence and one power active in the universe, in our lives, in the lives and circumstances of our loved ones and of ourselves. That this presence and power, being absolute good, its will is for good always. And so we open our hearts to receive that good, we open our minds to realize that good, and we open our own wills and courage to do what is necessary to allow that good to flow. we give ourselves up to the perfect outcomes that Spirit provides as it individually works its activity in our lives. That all that we could desire, all that we could possibly want, is already given. And so through faith, we challenge ourselves and we nurture ourselves to believe in that truth and to dismantle whatever would block the flow of our desires to us. Letting go and letting God gets us out of the way as our own spiritual destiny unfolds perfectly in our lives. And for this we give thanks. And so it is. Amen.
Now is the time we gather, stand up, greet each other, hugs and handshakes, or namaste.
Glad you're feeling better. Yeah. We were too, but he did a wonderful job.
This song I did not write, but I love it. And I wanted to sing it a cappella because I think it hits more. I thought I did what's right. Thought I had the answers. I thought I chose the surest road. But that road brought me here. So I put up a fight. told you how to help me. Now just when I had given up, the truth is coming clear. You know better than I. You know the way. I've let go the need to know why, for you know better than I. If this has been a test, I cannot see the reason, but maybe knowing I don't know is part of getting through. I try to do what's best, and faith has made it easy to see the best thing I can do is put my trust in you, for you know better than I. You know the way. I've let go the need to know why, for you know better than I. I saw one cloud and thought it was the sky. I saw a bird and thought that I could follow. But it was you who taught that bird to fly. If I let you reach me, will you teach me? For you know better than I. You know the way. I've let go the need to know why. I'll take what answers you supply. You know better than I.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. I'm going to take a moment to just see you, all of you. This is a wonderful opportunity that we have the first Sunday of the month to pray and meditate together. The words of Chris's song, that you know better than I. Well, how do we know what God knows for us or as us? How do we know that? Do we just trust that God knows better than I? Or can we really access what we are, how we are held by divinity? And I think we can access that. I think we can access that through our spiritual practice. And that is one of the reasons why I've chosen for this last many years to have this prayer service. Unity is built on prayer. And when we practice prayer, we open the aperture of our soul to be able to both give and receive more and more. Well, this is 4th of July weekend, as you all know, and so I'd like to say Happy Independence Day. Happy Independence Day. People are born with an innate sense of and desire to be free. It's in freedom that we thrive. It's in freedom that we are most creative. It is in freedom that we dream. It is in freedom that we can build and bring into reality in our own lives experiences that are pleasurable, that are desirable, and that are nurturing. Freedom is especially sought out in conditions that are oppressive and limiting. And these limiting conditions curtail our growth and creativity. So if our natural inclination is to grow and be large and to express ourselves creatively, and there's a force outside of us that is oppressive, that is preventing that to happen, then the suffering is the outcome. We personally suffer, the society suffers, and the community suffers. We have this drive to self-actualize. And this is certainly true and was experienced in the early days of our nation, that as our country experienced such curtailment by the governing body outside of the United States, by England, it became oppressive. And that the people living in this world, in this country, were not able to express themselves as they wanted to and as they felt drawn to. And the oppressing government of England made it difficult and created hardships. And so people came together and decided this is not how we want to live, and they were following their own innate tendencies for freedom and decided to establish themselves in opposition to the governing force and to fight a war of independence. The winning of that war of independence is what we celebrate today. We celebrate the establishment of the United States as a free country, and we have a constitution that protects certain rights so that all people may experience freedom. All people may experience self-determination, that all people may experience themselves in their larger selves, regardless of religion, regardless of color, regardless of politics. And that's the ideal. One of the highlights of one of my trips to the East Coast was to go to Washington, D.C., and to see monuments that stated such things on monuments, that every person is entitled to grow and develop in a way that is most fulfilling. And I found that very inspiring. I went to Washington, D.C. kind of jaded because at that time, politically, I really didn't feel that it was even, I didn't feel that those values were being upheld and expressed. And so I was kind of cynical. And then when I went through all of the monuments and read the inscriptions, it really lifted me. And I thought how enlightened those aspirations are for a people. And then it came time for each person to champion those ideals for one another. And that's where we fell short. We don't fall short in the ideals, we fall short in how we actualize them for ourselves and for others. What happened on a national scale at that time in the creating of our nation happens to us on a personal scale as well. that through the decisions we make and the lives we live and the conditions outside of ourselves, we experience, and false beliefs and misguided, decisions, I guess, or choices. We experience bondage in our individual lives as well. And in that bondage, there is unhappiness and there is suffering. And in that bondage, there is a desire to break free. We have the desire to break free because it is our natural state to be free. The desire to be free is not the same as the experience of being free. We can desire without taking steps for that freedom, for our own personal freedom. Our personal freedom, I think, is a result of our spiritual development. And Charles Fillmore, in establishing unity, knew that. That unity itself, I regard as although Matthew Fox would describe liberation theology a little differently, but unity, I believe, is a theology of freedom. It's a theology of liberation. It's a philosophy that first of all champions each one's individual right to unfold according to their consciousness, and encourages the consciousness of each one to grow and to become more and more aware. And in that awareness, we can exercise choices and set directions that ultimately lead to freedom. And in that freedom, there is fulfillment, which brings forth joy, which brings forth a sense of satisfaction and well-being. And as our opening songs stated, that we become happy. What are the other? Happy, free from worry, free from, may we be at ease. Go ahead, help me out here, Chris. I'm looking to you, man. Yeah, what we've been and done brings us to where we are today. And we can change that every single day. And so in the very beginning of Unity, Charles Fillmore published a series of articles, and it was taken from Emily Cady's book, Lessons in Truth. And he published that book in Modern Thought, a Unity publication, a chapter a month, I think. And the very first chapter of that, liberty or freedom, bondage or liberty, which? And there's a question mark. So it presents the question to each one of us. How do we want to live? How do we want to live our lives? Do we want to live our lives in bondage, or do we want to live our lives in freedom, in liberty? And that ultimately is the question that persists today, that each one of us can ask ourselves, depending on how we are experiencing our lives and where in our lives do we feel ourselves to be in bondage. Where do we feel ourselves to be in bondage? And do we have to stay there? No, we don't. Our spirituality, our divine core says no, we don't. That we can make other choices. And it's just not the choice, it's just not the decision for something different, but it is also the activation of definite steps of activities, the activation of activities, the changing of our thinking, the changing of our habits that makes it so. By declaration, that declaration needs to be supported by our action. We become more and more able to move forward in our lives as we incorporate spiritual practices. So, spiritual practices like prayer and meditation. Prayer and meditation allow us, first of all, to access subconscious beliefs and subconscious feelings that we may not be aware of. That's why we call them subconscious. Bring them to the forefront and allow us to become aware of them. Most of the time, we carry on our lives without being aware of what is driving us. And when we aren't aware, we can't change them. And so this is what prayer and meditation does. It opens the window. It is an invitation to become aware. Prayer and meditation doesn't change a supreme consciousness outside of ourselves and coerce this presence and power to change activity or to be magical, let's say, to be magical. What prayer and meditation does is it opens us up to our own divinity and the power that we have to go forward, not only in awareness, but also in action inspired by that awareness. And that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's when we start experiencing changes in our lives by changing our consciousness. And so today, in this time of preparation for that change, we allow ourselves the experience of meditation. And this particular meditation, the Silent Unity Prayer Service, is a meditation that is a succession of affirmations and affirmations of truth. And those affirmations work on our subconscious, allowing us to realign our thinking to what is true of us, what is whole of us, what is divine of us. And so let's do it. Let's enter into this process. Let's be together in meditation, supporting one another, filling this room with the light and grace of like minds, at the same time lifting to a higher state of realization and awareness. And so we physically prepare for our spiritual experience through physical changes. I like to close my eyes. I recommend it as simply as a process to minimize distraction, that allows a more fruitful focus on what is being implanted through affirmation in my mind and heart. And so closing our eyes, we allow ourselves to relax, to be at ease. And what is helpful for me is taking deep breaths. And with each deep breath, I feel my body relaxing even more and more. And as I relax, I notice inside that I become more open, more receptive, more aware, more awake. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out deeply also nourishes us. So at a physical level, we actually do become more aware and awake. With new and infused oxygen running through our bloodstream and through our brains, we become more alert, more mindful. And so periods of deep breathing is extremely nourishing. And as our bodies relax, we can also guide our mind into a state of relaxation and focus by simply letting whatever distracting thoughts may be in our minds simply to march through rather than to take up residence. So being aware of them, we also allow them to move through. A very gentle way of handling distracting thoughts. And so, having prepared ourselves, we are aware and we affirm that prayer is a way of recognizing and accepting our oneness with God. And in recognizing our oneness with God, we are able to transform thoughts of diminishment regarding our circumstances into high thoughts of hope and well-being, of realization and awareness, of understanding. In this state of receptivity, we are more readily accepting of our wholeness and health, of our prosperity, of right relationships. We become aware that at the very core of our being, there is a place that is untouched by outer circumstances. And in this place, this sweet spot within us, it's a core of peace. Established in the center of my being, I am still and peaceful. With every breath, I drop deeper into the center of my being. I settle into the silence yet perceptible presence of God, my source. Waves of peace flow through my body and my mind. I become still. In the silence of prayer, I am peaceful. And in the presence of the silence, I am infinite. And so I let myself drop into this place of peace as I rest in the silence. God is the wisdom that flows as intelligence throughout every cell in my body and every thought in my mind. Centered in divine wisdom, I breathe out thoughts such as I can't or I don't know. I realize I am capable of knowing all I need to know for the moments ahead. I am inspired to think and act in ways that support well-being flowing from prayer. And I turn to divine intelligence, expressing and quickening as me within my being as I return to the silence. I tell the truth of divine life to my body and my circumstances. Moving my focus to the light of life within, I become aware of healing energy streaming throughout my body. I remind myself that divine life is irrepressible, eternal, and ever-renewing. I say to my body and my circumstances, you are full of life. You are full of health. You are vibrant and energetic. And I hold these thoughts of vitality, affirming them over and over again as I return to the silence. Focused in faith, I perceive the truth of divine abundance by which I prosper. God is my source of divine ideas, a continuous flow of possibilities. I perceive possibilities through my faculty of faith. I can see through challenging conditions to the truth of divine abundance, and I lift my thoughts to the heights of abundance, where all things are possible. I see myself as full, enriched, and prospered in every aspect of my being, every aspect of my life. And I carry this realization of prosperity into the silence as I affirm my wealth. In the light of spiritual understanding, I behold divinity within all beings. Illuminated by the light of spiritual realization, I radiate peace to bless every being in this world. I focus upon the truth that unites us all, the divine origin and essence we share. I say to all beings, I see God in you. Namaste. I behold you blessed and beloved, and return to the silence wrapped in a cloak of this blessing. As our prayer time comes to a close, We give thanks for our unity of spirit and oneness with God. Knowing our increasing capacity to embody divine wisdom, life, faith, and understanding, we return to our activities uplifted and re-energized. Our resources have increased. Our capacity to give is larger, and we are more able to bless others with the peace and joy and light within ourselves as a gift to our world. And so gently and slowly, just allow yourselves to shift from the inner to the outer as we listen to this music of transition.
It is not I, but the Spirit within, who does these things I see before me. It is not I, but the Spirit within. Oh, glory to God. Oh, glory to God. It is not I, but the Spirit within, who does these things I see before me. It is not I, but the Spirit within. Oh, glory to God. Glory to God. But the Spirit within, who does these things I see before me. It is not I, but the Spirit within. Oh, glory to God. Oh, glory to God. It is not I, but the Spirit within, who does these things I see before me. It is not I, but the Spirit within. Oh, glory to God. Oh, glory to
Thank you once again. It's a nice, lovely way to come out of meditation, isn't it? I think that was written by Erin McGon. And she has some lovely, lovely inspirational music. So, here we are at the end of our service, and I'm feeling lighter and energized. And everyone here looks pretty relaxed. So, this is a time in our service when we share our love offerings. And before we do that, as a precursor to that, in your bulletin, we have taken up the practice of doing a community affirmation for our growth and prosperity. And the affirmation is different each week. And so right before the offertory blessing here is our affirmation. And I'll say it once, and then we'll say it together. And then we'll say it with gusto a third time. So the blessings of God are now poured out upon me in full measure. Okay, together. The blessings of God are now poured out upon me in full measure. Okay, can you feel that in your bodies? Let's embody this. So we might have to say this maybe 5 times. Okay, let's do it again. The blessings of God are now poured out upon me in full measure. Full measure. Blessings in full measure on you and on me and on us, okay? Another practice. The blessings of God are now poured out upon me in full measure. Are you feeling it? Okay, so this is the for real. This is it. Together. The blessings of God are now poured out upon me in full measure. And so it is. And so if you take your offering in your hand, all pumped up from that affirmation, the blessings of God are poured out on me in full measure. The blessings of God are poured out upon this community in full measure, and we open our hearts and accept. They're always poured out in full. We're just, our accepting gets kind of puny at times. And so let's make puny into big. What's the opposite of puny? Huge. Huge, okay. So huge blessings of God poured out upon me in full measure now. And our offertory blessing, it's not behind me because our projector is coming next week. But we hold our offerings and we see them going forward into the activity of this congregation for the benefit of all. As an extension of the abundance of the divine, we are blessed in full measure. Together, divine love flowing as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. And Guy is coming around to collect our offerings, and as he does that, we will be having hospitality today, and so it's right downstairs. And so I invite you to come, and I invite you to come especially because for the last week and a half, we have been diligently, actively, and creatively working on a marketing poster. And there has been input from several people, many people. I put it out in an email and asked for input, and I got some. I got lots. And so we put them into a poster format, and there are 3 versions of this poster downstairs. So during hospitality, I have a copy on 3 tables. So as you are having your coffee and your goodies, if you could look over the posters, and we're going to take a vote as to which one seems to be the one that is most liked. And then we will run those off in mass and distribute them for you to distribute them in your local areas where you think people would see them in an effort to grow our communities. So please come down to hospitality and participate in that. And right now, we are going to participate in blessing our offerings by rubbing our hands together, directing that energy to our gifts. And that these are symbols of divine prosperity, that the universe is obligated to support us fully in every way and so that all thrive. And there's various means through which this thriving comes. And today, in this form, it's in the form of money and finances. And so we gratefully accept all that has been given, and with mindfulness and stewardship, distribute what is given to fulfill our obligations and then to further be a blessing by contributing to organizations within the larger community of Kent. And so we are grateful, and so it is. Amen. And we'll now gather in our closing circle. Being the first Sunday of the month, it is birthday Sunday, July. Do we have any July birthday people? Evelyn. Connie is. Connie, too. Connie and Lee and nobody else? Okay. Some former friends who used to come are Bonnie Porter and Joan Tregoning. Also, my brother and sister are having a birthday. My cousin is having a birthday.
Oh, my brother's having a birthday.
And your brother's having a birthday. Any other relatives, friends having birthdays?
Brother-in-law.
Brother-in-law having a birthday?
He was born on the 4th of July.
Oh, born on the 4th of July. Is he in that movie? Born on the 4th of July? Okay. All right. Okay, so we'll just put everyone in our circle and wishing them happy birthday. So Lee, get in the circle. Connie, you going to come down here and get in the circle? Evelyn's in the circle. She's waving us off. Okay. All right. Well, the happy birthday song first. So.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday to you, and many more.
God is blessing you now.
God is blessing you now. Blessing you now. God is blessing you now.
Yay! Okay, peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as our Creator. Family are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my my joyous vow to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And the light of God surrounds us. We are the light that is God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love that is God. And the power of God protect us. We are the power of God. May the presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God in the world. And all is well. May you have a week that is inspired and be well. And don't let anything upset you. No, don't blow up. Yeah, don't be the fireworks. All right. Right. Okay. Thank you.
Kurt and Connie. Woo.
Thank you, Chris, and all of our team. And wow.